Prime Minister just quit, and the man tipped to replace him wants to put more money back in your pocket. If you earn between 30 and 100 grand, your first instinct is to cheer. Hold on, because the same plan that hands you a bit more take home could quietly become the reason your taxes go up in 3 years. And the maths behind that is exactly what nobody on the news is doing out loud. Here's the lay of the land. Keir Starmer, the careful, managerial, spreadsheet centrist, has resigned. The front runner to replace him is Andy Burnham, former Greater Manchester Mayor, and he is a very different animal. Soft left, interventionist, the guy who talks about bringing your bills down by taking on the people charging you too much. His pitch, roughly, cut the tax load on ordinary workers and small businesses, tax wealth and big asset holders harder, and pull essentials like water, energy, and rail back under public control. That's the offer. Now let's see if the numbers actually hold, because more money in your pocket is the easiest sentence in politics to say, and the hardest to fund. So forget the slogans. The only question that matters for you is this. Does this reach your payslip, and does it last? Here's the part nobody's spelling out. Burnham isn't promising you free money. He's promising to move the bill off your wages and onto wealth, landlords, and the companies extracting profit from things you can't opt out of. That's the whole shift in one line. Starmer managed the existing system. Burnham wants to change who pays into it, and whether that's brilliant or a disaster comes down entirely to arithmetic. Let's do the arithmetic, because it's not that hard. First, a correction to what you might have heard. Burnham hasn't talked about cutting the rate of income tax. What he's actually proposed is raising the personal allowance, the amount you're allowed to earn before the taxman turns up. Right now that sits at £12,570. It's been frozen since 2021 and was locked in to stay frozen until 2028. A stealth tax rise in slow motion because wages went up, but your tax-free slice didn't budge. Say a Burnham government raises that personal allowance to £15,000, that's an extra £2,430 of your earnings that escape income tax entirely. If you earn £35,000, that's worth roughly £486 a year, back in your pocket. And here's the genuinely interesting bit. Unlike cutting the basic rate, a personal allowance rise gives everyone above the threshold the exact same pound amount. You on £35,000 and your boss on £80,000 both save the same £486. For you, that's a bigger slice of your pay. It's actually one of the more progressive ways to cut tax, which is precisely why it doesn't get enough airtime. Now, the Treasury side of that. Raising the personal allowance to £15,000 would cost somewhere around £10 to £12 billion a year, more than a penny off the basic rate, because every single taxpayer benefits from it. Real money for you. A month's worth of groceries, give or take, and a real hole in the books. Think of the country's finances like a pub running on one massive tab. Income tax and national insurance together are the bloke who quietly covers most of that tab every single night. About £475 billion a year, the two biggest sources of money the government has. Burnham's plan is to let that bloke off lightly, you, the worker, and instead send the bill to the three people in the corner who've been drinking for free for years. The very wealthy, the big landlords, and the water and energy companies. Morally, hard to argue with. The question is whether those three can actually cover the tab. So let's check their wallets. Start with a wealth tax. A 2% annual tax on personal fortunes above £10 million, genuinely only the richest, is estimated to raise around £24 billion a year. A one-off wealth tax on everything over £500,000, charged over 5 years, could raise far more. The Wealth Tax Commission put a version of it at around £160 billion, but that's a one-time hit, not a yearly income. Then the water companies. Since privatisation, England's water firms have paid out somewhere between £53 and £78 billion to shareholders, while leaking sewage into rivers and begging for bailouts. So yes, there is genuine money being hoovered out of essentials you literally cannot live without. And here's the honest bit. Add it all up. Wealth taxes, landlord levies, squeezing the profiteers, and on the kindest estimates, you might claw back 20, 30, maybe 40 billion a year. Corporation tax, for scale, raises about £97 billion in total. That's real money. It is not £475 billion. You cannot let the main bill payer off and fully replace him from the corner table. The gap is real, and anyone telling you it isn't is selling you something. And nationalisation, bringing water, energy and rail back in-house, doesn't magically fill that gap either. Here's the thing people miss. Nationalisation saves money, it doesn't print it. If the state runs your water and stops shipping profit to shareholders, your bill can fall. Good. but buying those assets costs billions upfront, and it doesn't hand the Treasury a fresh pile of tax to spend. Worth knowing, Burnham himself has been careful here. He's talked about public control, not always full buy-it-all nationalisation, pointing to the Manchester bus model, where private firms still run the buses but the public sets the fares and routes. That's cheaper, and it's a tell that even he knows the checkbook version is eye-watering. So follow the money, and the picture is clear. You get lower bills if it's executed well, and a serious funding gap that lower bills alone don't close. So what does all of this actually mean for you on 30 to 100 grand? Two futures. If it lands well, a couple of £100 more in your take-home, water and energy bills that stop climbing, and a bit of breathing room you haven't felt in years. That's the dream version, and it's not impossible. If the maths breaks, if the wealthy and the capital quietly leave, and the new taxes raise less than hoped, all against a world already rattled by tariffs and trade wars that no UK government controls, then the gap gets filled the way it always gets filled. More borrowing or a stealth tax rise on middle earners down the line, which is to say, on you. The penny they gave you in year 1 comes back looking for friends in year 3. That's not a prediction, it's just the two roads, and the arithmetic decides which one you're on. Right, here's what to actually watch for. Not panic about, just watch. When the budget lands, not the campaign speeches, the actual budget with numbers, check two things. What happens to income tax thresholds, and whether ISA or pension wrappers are up for review. Tax-free wrappers are exactly what governments reach for when the numbers don't add up. Keep an eye on them. In the meantime, the boring but bulletproof stuff is still your best friend. Grab every penny of your employer's pension match. That's free money, full stop. Use your ISA while the rules are still generous. These aren't clever hacks, they're just how the system works for you while it still does. The speech is the dream. The budget is the reality. The gap between them is where your money actually lives. And that's the bit worth watching. And here's the bigger picture that nobody in the coverage is saying. We are on our 5th Prime Minister in roughly 4 years. Johnson, Truss, Sunak, Starmer, and now potentially Burnham. That's not just Westminster drama, that is genuine economic instability, and it has a real price tag. Businesses don't invest when they can't see the next 2 years clearly. Capital doesn't commit. Hiring slows. Every new administration resets the policy clock, and by the time anything beds in, there's another leadership crisis and another reset. The policies in this video might never even become law, because the next PM after Burnham is already someone we haven't heard of yet. You can have the best fiscal plan in the world. If it doesn't survive long enough to actually work, it's a white paper and nothing more. We don't just need better policy, we need it to last. Whether it's Burnham or anyone else, every politician is really just deciding who pays for the country, workers, wealth, or your kids through borrowing. The names keep changing, the choice never does. Your job isn't to back a team, it's to notice which pocket they're reaching into, and to make sure, whatever they decide, it isn't quietly yours. So cheer the tax cut if you like, just read the small print, because in this country, the small print is usually a budget away. If this made the headlines make a bit more sense, subscribe, that's the whole channel. And tell me below, would you swap a penny off your tax for a wealth tax on the top? I genuinely want to know.